we needed some sort of break, and this was like really early in our relationship.
Okay.
So like we needed some space, people call it.
Gotcha.
So and that's what we ended up doing, and it was something that kind of made us self-reflect to see, well, personally to see, okay, what do I really want, you know? So it was just like a
Hmm.
self-reflecting
Okay.
breakup, or a break, I guess you can call it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, okay. Which I think a lot of us have that experience, but yeah, and okay. So and then the last thing was, what's the reason? What's the number one reason that you've been able to stay with her for that long? Uh-oh, we lost Johnny, guys. I'm gonna get him back. Something happened. Something happened. Oh,
Yeah.
there he is.
Sorry about
Sir
that.
Johnny the Great. God damn, bro.
Yeah. So you're saying a
You
reason.
yes, sir. So what's the number one reason that has been able to? What's the number one reason that you guys been able to stay together for 14 years?
Well, honestly, man, the number one reason is communication. You know, because communicating with each other is ideal. It's crucial. Because there's been points where I felt like I don't need to tell her anything, you know.
Gotcha.
And this was like early in the relationship, but then that somehow, some way would always come back around, you know. Um, so
So I guess we can.
go ahead, bro.
So sorry, Johnny. So we finished we finished the recap. 14 years. You met her through family,
Right.
and you followed up until until she was single.
Exactly.
Um, and number one reason that you guys stayed together was in communication. So now we got that
Right.
background. Now we can kind of go into the deeps, which was you were doing the communication. So can you talk about that since that's been your number one, since in your eyes that's the number one reason why you guys been able to stay together 14 years, and
Yeah. Communication.
so yeah, what can you tell us about
Well,
communication?
you know, I've been through it, like as far as like not always being transparent with her.
Yeah.
And every time like I would hide something, not that I necessarily wanted to do it intentionally, it's just because I was kind of conditioned to just not really express myself, fully. Um,
Getcha.
so, and every time that would happen, there was always like a conflict, something will come back, like that problem will come back again, or
Mm.
that situation wasn't resolved, or like there's things that we weren't kind of like flowing in the same flow of like understanding each other, so
Mm.
that's what I noticed, like not just being fully transparent and having that communication with her.
Can you give us an example of what that means?
Yeah, so
Maybe like give us an example experience that you had.
yeah, 100%. Well, it's more like just I would say really expressing yourself fully, so I was really expressing myself fully to her, like letting her know exactly like how I felt, how I feel, on situations that, let's say, um, I didn't like of her, or she didn't like of me, or any issues that we had with each other, but they weren't really addressed. So
Oh.
like for example, we would get into arguments. Obviously, everybody gets into arguments, and when
Hmm.
we would get into arguments, there would just be a point where the whole tension, everything would just cool down. That cool down process. So
So let's say you got maybe let's say she did something you didn't like. You got into an argument, and then
and then we would just kind of
and then
like just argue about it, and then it was always like me versus you, pride, ego,
gotcha.
I'm versus you right now. I win, or my way. And then I'm assuming after we obviously talk with each other, now we understand each other more. It's, yeah, she was obviously thinking the same way, like, because you get yourself into like that prideful, defensive, I'm ready for battle type of environment, where
Yeah,
like you just need to
you just want to
survive.
win.
You need to survive here, and you're always going to want to win the conversation, So that would always happen. And then when finally, like, okay, we had enough, then we just kind of kept our distance from each other. So, and
Wait, so when you had enough, you guys, what do you mean? Oh, like, when you guys got really
yeah,
mad, I
when we got
guess.
really mad at, and obviously, there's a point where there's enough arguing where then it goes quiet, So that we would get to that
I
point.
get you.
We would get to
Okay.
that point, and then just kind of just we were just keep our distance from each other, be really like not like trying to talk to each other or be there for each other, which just sounds sad, you know, because
Mm.
like isn't that why we're together? You know what I'm saying? So
Makes sense.
every
So
time,
how did you go overcome
yeah,
that?
so every time we would have those situations all the time, then like a day will pass by, and then sometimes like the next day would happen, and we start slowly just kind of re-engaging, slowly going back to normal, you know, slowly kind of just like nothing happened. And so, and then finally, then after all that time passed, which could have been a day, 2 days, 3 days of not talking to each other, we start
Yeah.
slowly going back to conversating with each other and, you know, kind of engaging with each other. So the healing process was just way too long, you know, way too long. Like,
Oh, so it's,
yeah, so it's
sorry, go ahead.
just, it was like we weren't really talking to each other because we had an argument that we didn't disagree on. I'm right. No, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. And then the next day or 2 days later, like nothing happened, you know? Um,
Gotcha, gotcha. That's a good. Okay, thanks.
yeah, no
Good
worries.
clarification.
So then, like nothing happened. And then we were just back to normal. And then, okay, cool. We're doing this, we're doing that. But then this started happening all the time, you know, like it started happening more consistent because a problem that is not addressed or talked about, it's just going to hide away. It's not going to go anywhere, you know?
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I started noticing these patterns consistently. And I was just, you know, I would think to myself, like, well, like what do I need to do? Because I mean, obviously, like when you want to see change in something outside of you, it comes from within first, you know? So I
Yeah.
started realizing, like, well, you know what, how do I solve this? You know, how do I fix this? Because I'm not gonna go ahead and blame her, even though at the time, like, yeah, it's easy to blame her, but like now, obviously, after a while and a long time with you know, experiencing all this, I realized that, you know, I have no one to blame. You know, I'm only blaming myself because, or taking responsibility of myself and my own, and holding myself accountable. Um,
Wait, how are you wrong?
well, that's the thing. So it's not that I was wrong or right, because then you kind of involve your pride and ego into that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about just like, what can I do? What can I do to, what's my part? I can be the bigger person. I can shift things around. I can respond differently. I can do all the things in my control, right?
Okay,
So
that's good. Good.
that's what I started thinking about. So
Gotcha.
I'm like, okay, well, let's give it a try. You know, let's test run it.
Okay.
So, and obviously this is something different. This was going to be something different in our relationship, and I already knew that. You know, obviously, because like if we are comfortable in a certain way with each other, and we've been like, let's say, like arguing this way and then healing this way and then re-engaging with this like this specific way all the time, then
Yeah.
to apply something different, it's gonna change. You know, it's gonna be a little weird. But yeah, like what I started doing was just like really just at the same time when we were argue, I would just understand her more, you know, uh, get in like
What does that mean? Understand it more.
get in her shoes, you know, like step in her shoes and see things her in her perspective, you know,
Okay.
and not in just my perspective. So like not being biased towards like listening to her and understanding her and just really listening to her more is what helped
Mm-hmm.
me kind of like engage into like really solving like our problem and our situation, you know.
So, which was the fighting and the never fixing it or taking too long for it to get
Exactly.
fixed.
So that was the main issue, because we would fight, it would never get fixed, and then we would just come back the next day like nothing happened.
Mm.
So there was nothing being that. Then if that pattern continues to happen every single time, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, then it's like it's normal, you know. This is how we
Makes sense. Yeah.
this is how we overcome it. This is how we do it. But I never liked it. We both didn't like it, because we both felt that it wasn't the right thing. So then I'm the one that I felt like I had to be the bigger person and just kind of take control, you know, take control of myself, because not take control of her,